everyone, welcome to the Tiny Chats podcast. I am so excited for today's episode. I am here with Joni, who is the first person who ever did a van tour for me not 2 years ago, almost 4 years ago now. Time flies by. It's absolutely wild. And the last time I checked, it had 2.2 million views. So it went crazy. Basically, she's the reason why I even have somewhat of a social media following. That's totally what like propelled me forward. So I'm super excited for today's episode. This is super meaningful for me. So grab your glass, whatever you're drinking, and join us for a little conversation here at Tiny Chats. Joni, thank you so much for being here today. I'm so excited to have you. If you want, can you do a little introduction of yourself, who you are, and yeah.
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Joni. I am with The Galavan, and that's primarily a YouTube channel. I help women get on the road. Primarily what I do, I've got the YouTube channel, The Galavan, and I also have a complimentary Facebook group for women to connect, and I do a weekly Nomadic Women's Happy Hour where we talk about topics live in person. Those are not recorded, and it's just all about helping women get out here and get on the road.
I love that. How long have you been on the road for?
For over 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Almost like before it was cool.
Almost. Certainly building the van, there were not nearly as many resources.
Yeah, so you did not do a DIY. You had somebody.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that process.
Yeah, so I designed the van that I wanted. I researched for like 5 years. And
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I didn't even realize that there were like van tours on YouTube at the time. So I was on the Sprinter Source forum, just reading, almost compulsively reading.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out the most controversial topic is insulation. Like, what insulation do I do?
It's always a fight between, should it be like Havelock wool or should it be spray foam?
That wasn't even a thing. Havelock wool was not a thing.
Wow.
So I've got the Thinsulate.
Okay.
3M Thinsulate. And
how does that work for you?
It's working great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know.
It's working great.
That's awesome. Is this your only van you've ever had?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a planner, and I just overplanned it, kind of thought everything through, and the only real thing that I've had to change is I've had to lift my bed up a little bit because I changed out my bike. So I started out with a little folding bike from Bike Friday that just tucked in. It was super light and super easy. And I have upgraded to a folding e-bike, and it's much heavier and bigger, and so I've had to raise my bike. Raise my bed.
And if you stay tuned to the end, or if you're listening only on podcasting channels, head over to YouTube or stay tuned until the end of this video, and you can see a tour of Joni's van, and you can see a little glimpse of that bike, because I'm jealous. I wowould love one of those bikes. They're really awesome. So what made you want to get into van life and traveling?
I had a cousin come to a family reunion with a 144 Sprinter that was built out by Sportsmobile, and I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. And I've always liked small things anyway. Like, I've always like small spaces, small versions of things, like travel games versus a full-size full-size game. And I just thought it was the coolest thing. And she and her husband at the time traveled around for a year. And so I just had that actually on a vision board for a number of years. And I finally I was working online at the time for myself. And I just realized my kids were grown. My youngest then once she had a full year-long lease for living, I decided to sell my house and get on the road.
Wow. Did your kids think you were crazy?
I don't know how happy they were with this decision. My youngest was like, I want a home to come home to.
See, I love that, because I feel like so many people think there's a time limit on traveling or something like that, and I love the fact that you still did it even after, you know, people think you have to do it when you're young and you can't. I know that for me, there's almost like, the way that I kind of looked at it was, oh, I'm not going to be able to travel until, like, society puts this thing in, until you retire. That's when you start traveling. But I was like, no, I am not going to do that. And I think nowadays, almost there's like a reversal of that thought process. Yeah, and it's like you have to do it now, and there's this pressure of travel now while you can. So I just love that you're being able to show, like, it's, do it, just do it.
Absolutely. And it seems like the societal norm is to wait until you retire, but only while you're able-bodied. And I have a friend who lives full-time in a wheelchair, who is a van lifer.
That's amazing.
And, you know, proving that, no, it doesn't have to be restricted to just the small window of time.
Totally. And I love that you're doing, you know, you're really encouraging women to get out there and travel, because I always felt this pressure of, you can't travel until you have a partner with you. And especially, so for the longest part of my life, I was living as a straight woman. So, you know, kind of felt like I can't do that without a man. And I started rebelling. And I think that in a way was kind of the first steps of me embracing who I am, where I was just like, no, I don't need a man for anything. And now here we are. I'm a full lesbian now, so
me too.
Yeah, I think that might be how it goes. You know, and it's funny because at my, well, I guess I met you at the second meetup I ever went to, but I was only like
5 weeks in.
Yeah, I had just hit the road, and I remember, and I think it's just like serendipitous or fate looking back of, I remember being like, yeah, the only people who I hung out with was like this group of lesbians. And now like my whole van life community is basically queer people on the road. And I'm like, oh, it's so funny how times have changed for me. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. I think it's great having those connection points at van life meetups to be able to like meet people. Do you do go to meetups often? I actually have a love-hate relationship with big events. I love going and collecting a couple of people, but it's overwhelming to be around that many people and meeting so many people. That is really overwhelming for me. And so just my approach of, okay, I'm gonna find one or two people I connect with. And actually doing my channel and doing van tours has been really helpful for me for that, because I get to spend more time one-on-one with someone with something that they're really proud of. And then when I come back and I'm editing, I feel like I'm spending more time with her, you know? I feel like I'm really getting to know her, and I just always have this like really great feeling when I'm editing of, oh, this was such a nice time, just spending that time with someone. It's really nice. I love that. And I think van life meetups are such a good way of making those like really deep connections. I've made some really good friends, and I feel like van life friendships are this instant or unique relationship where it's like you might go a year without seeing that person, but it's like when you're back together, no time has passed. Absolutely. You know, and so most of the events that I go to are actually escaper events, and that's most of the people that I've met on the road have been through escapers, and that is broader. That's definitely not van life. In fact, when I first started going, it was almost 5 years ago, and I was one of the only people in a van. And now most of my friends that I met there that year are in van. Now I actually just yesterday heard about escapers for the first time. So for those who may not know, can you kind of share what that is? Yeah, it is. It's a part of Escapees, which is a large RV club. They provide a lot of services. There's mail service, there's roadside assistance that doesn't have a towing
mileage limit. Really great for full-timers. So lots of full-timer services. And then Escapers is a portion of the club that is basically working age RVers.
Okay.
And so it starts with an X, meaning, you know, it started with a bunch of Gen Xers.
Okay. Okay.
And it's, even though there are a lot of retired folks in the club, it's more adventurous than,
okay.
you know, than an older club.
Yeah. Interesting. I always find it so interesting to hear about, like, van life or travel has so many unique communities within it.
Yes.
And so it's always interesting to see kind of like where those intersect and like,
right.
Yeah, it's really cool. We briefly kind of breezed past this. So you are also a lesbian on the road.
Yes, I am.
How has that experience been for you as a queer woman traveling solo?
It's been great.
Yeah.
The world is very homosexual.
Yes.
So, and so I'm just always looking for the other lesbians.
Yeah.
You know, I'm always looking, and I do try to find other lesbians who identify as lesbians.
Okay.
Because I just want to hang out with women.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
I'm so curious. Because I have the worst gaydar ever. 4 years ago, did you pick up on gay vibes from me or no?
I thought that when you mentioned your boyfriend, I thought that was a waste. To be honest.
I love that so much.
It's like, oh, she's a really cool, strong woman. What's she doing with this dude?
Oh my gosh. He was the last ditch effort. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this guy was in the military at that point.
Right,
and
I remember that.
Yeah, basically ghosted me. And you know, I think everything's meant to be how it's meant to be. But that was kind of like, what am I doing here? Why am I trying so hard?
Right.
And oddly enough, I kind of think that failed relationship was more so for my parents because he was white, military, financially independent, like a little bit more conservative leaning. Everything they could have dreamed for, it was him.
Right.
And he hurt me like so badly. And so I think that they were like, oh, so that's not the perfect man. Their perfect version wasn't so perfect.
Right.
So I think that was, not really for me, my lesson, but here we are. And I actually think being on the road allowed me that freedom to be able to.
Yeah. Well, it's also, I mean, not only the lesbian heterosexual mismatch, but also the van lifer sticks and bricks mismatch. I mean, that's a big problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
So no matter what your sexuality is, it's hard to be a nomad and date someone in sticks and bricks.
It is. Yeah, I am currently in that situation again with a woman, and she is quickly working to get a fully remote job so we can bridge that gap. Because I'm like, oh, well, then that was one of the reasons why she reached out to me was, you know, hey, I'm interested in van life, you know, and then the conversation went from there.
And honestly, I think the perfect thing is to date someone else who has their own van. Yes.
That was something we talked about that I think is really important. So you used to, were you traveling with a partner, or did you share a van with your partner at one point in time? Or
I was dating a woman who also has her own van.
Oh, okay.
And we still travel together quite a lot.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. That's great. I think, 2 vans is absolutely, like, so important. Some may say wasteful in space, but I'm like, you know, you need your own space. And it's such a tiny space that, I don't know. And the way that I also look at it is if someone comes to visit, you have a guest bedroom.
Right. Right. And, you know, I think, I don't know if it's the time of life that I'm at. I'm 58. And so I don't know if it's that I just need that independence. I need to be able to go off on my own.
Yeah.
And, and I want to be with someone who's also independent and
Totally.
wants to go off on her own.
Yeah, and I think that something about van life that has been really good for me is I've always been a really independent woman, but I think it's helped me embrace that independence even more so, or have confidence in that independence, where it's so important to just be able to feel like you are empowered to be your own person.
Yes.
And van life really has taught me that.
Yes, and I mean, I definitely grew up as a pleaser. I am still trying to break that habit. It's such a hard habit to break. But I think van life definitely helps because I can just bug out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've always heard that people who came out later in life are really big people pleasers, and for me, that was definitely the truth, because I was trying so hard to fit that mold.
Totally.
And that's what I told my parents. I'm like, I worked 16 years at trying it your way. That's a long time.
Yeah.
No more.
Yeah.
So
definitely later in life, I was married to a man for almost 26 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a long time.
That's a very long time.
Wow. You
Great
win.
guy. Great guy. Really,
Yeah.
really nice guy. Great dad to our daughters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. So how old were you when you came out then?
48, 49.
That's amazing. I love that. And one of the things that I kind of struggled with when coming out was there was this point where I was like, is it too late? Is it too late for me?
I mean,
Yeah.
I know women who are coming out in their 70s, 80s, you know, it's never too late.
Yeah, and a lot of people are pushing this rhetoric of, oh, social media makes it cool to be gay. And my thing is, and what I've told people is, it didn't make it cool for me. It gave me that visibility of women who are in their 30s who've only dated men their whole lives to come out, and that there's people there to date still.
Right. Plenty of people to date.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
too many. Although it's like the L word. That chart is very real.
More, well, I was gonna say it's more real in sticks and bricks when everyone lives in the same place, but maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know though, because I haven't gotten too. So I have a lot of queer friends in the van life community, but I do think a lot of them are very solo or in relationships.
Right.
So yeah, I don't feel like the overlapping hasn't really been a thing in van life, but yeah, normies.
I agree.
Yes.
There's either a lot of couples
Mhm.
or women who just don't want to be partnered.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah, and I'm kind of in this in between where I've warned the girl that I'm seeing that I have this hyper independence, especially being a van lifer, where what I want to do, I'm gonna do.
Good
So yeah, I'm like, it's my life. I want to live it, and hopefully you're along for the ride. But if not, I'll go do it alone.
Right.
Which I think is really important.
Yeah.
But again, circling back to like encouraging women, that's something I also really, really find like a passion about, and hope to give that visibility. I do enjoy being able to show now being a lesbian on the road, but more so I hope women just connect with being a woman traveler and kind of find that community. So to kind of like wrap this up, if you can give any advice to women out there who are aspiring to be van lifers or just want to travel full time, what would your advice be?
Start with where you are. Start with what you have. It's so easy to get to look at Instagram and get really discouraged, or think I'm never going to get there because these vans are expensive. They're beautiful. There's all of that. If you go onto my channel, you'll see tours of women in a self-built minivan that's barely even built, and she's been in it for 3 years. I have a video of a woman just in her SUV. You know, she's just making it work. I have a friend who's been a nomad on and off for 20 some years probably, and most of the time she has been in and out of a van, but she's mostly been in a Montero that has a gazillion miles on it.
Wow.
That it goes off-road. It's a great vehicle for her, and she lives in that most of the time.
I love that.
And so it's not the van or the RV or whatever it is a tool to get to where you want to go and to do what you want to do. It is not the thing. It's not the destination.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I love that. It's not the destination. Yeah, because and I think a lot of people kind of get caught up in just like getting the van, but yeah, it is a tool to get. Sometimes I get frustrated with social media when people just want to see the inside of my van all the time, but I'm like, look at this beautiful waterfall that I got to hike to, and it took so long to get there. I want to show that off. But
And I mean, I do love my van. I loved designing it. I loved that whole process. But if you are aspiring to get on the road, just get on the road. I met a couple from Germany this past summer in Alaska, and they flew over and rented a U-Haul. I think it was just a Ram ProMaster that was a U-Haul van that was empty, got some blow-up mattresses and a cooler. And I also learned when I was in Alaska that REI rents camping equipment.
Yeah.
And a cooler, the whole thing, you can just try it out with rental equipment that's not. I mean, yes, you can rent a gorgeous van, you can rent a gorgeous RV, but you can also just rent a U-Haul and grab some equipment.
Yeah, that's a very lesbian thing to do anyways.
That's right. Embrace
you don't
U-Haul.
have to, you don't have to be a lesbian to do that. So if you don't get that joke, it's a lesbian joke. But yeah, I even tell people when they first purchase their van, if they're not purchasing an already built out van, I say, get an air mattress in there, sleep in it, and then figure out your layout based off of that. But I love that because the U-Haul rentals are like $20 a day.
Right.
Which is so much cheaper than the like $200 a night rentals that you get on like Outdoorsy. Which, if you want to go that route, I also think that's an awesome route. But a more affordable route is definitely just throw a mattress in, and it's a more glamping experience than a tent, in my opinion.
That's right. Absolutely is.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here. This has been so fun. We're coming to you from Baja. We are literally sitting on the beach. The view is beautiful. Stay tuned to the end of this, or again, if you're on the podcasting platforms, head over to YouTube to check out a tour of Joni's van. Joni, can you let us know again where people can find you at?
Absolutely. The Galavan is my channel, and it's TheGalavan. Hi, I'm Joni with The Galavan. My social media is The Galavan on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. So we've got a really open area in the front, 2 swivel seats with a bench. It was really important to me to have everything open and have a lot of visual space. I have 40 gallons of fresh water that I carry on board, and I drink from it, but I filter it so that I can put any water in there. And the Berkey, this is the travel Berkey, I think it's like 2.5 gallons or something like that. It lasts me 2 days. I opted for the open cabinets for a number of reasons. First of all, it's lighter in weight. Secondly, if you're traveling with someone else and the passenger needs to get something from behind, it serves as a handhold for going back. And you can also store more in it because the bins are really easy to really fill up, and you never lose anything. So if you're shorter, you're never having to like be up there looking for things because everything comes out in a bin. Nothing's ever fallen out of here, and yeah, I love it. So this is probably my latest addition to my van is my bug racket that self-stands. It's USB rechargeable, And at night I just put it in front of my door, and
oh, that's perfect.
it just keeps them all from coming in, especially since my screen needs to be replaced. So this van was actually a 2015, and I had been planning it for a while. It was finished in 2017, so it's been a while. Like, it's, you know, has come out since then. Lots of builders have come out since then. And so I designed it and hired a tiny house builder to build out my design for me. My counters are made out of paper stone. It is, I think it's a 1/2 inch, and it's really, really solid. What I did was I just cut another piece to span to make a step up to my bed. So I'm sure that there's other better solutions for that now, but that's what we came up with at the time. So I had them put a closet rod underneath my bed. So my garage storage is split in half between, or not quite half, between outside accessible from the back and inside accessible from the front. There's a wall in between, and so I was able to have hanging space without having anything that was floor to ceiling. So my first national park that I went to in the van, I decided to get the whole package of national park postcards. You can see 59. There's now 60 some. So I've just been putting them on the wall as I visit in the van. The problem with that is that they add national parks. so I end up having to get some extras, but I love that as a way to keep it, you know, keep track of where I've been. I have a queen size bed. It looks way bigger. There's about this much room on either side of the bed. And I did that so that I could make the bed really easily. When I first was building this van, the woman I was married to is 6 feet tall. And so we couldn't sleep side to side. We had to sleep tip to toe, I like to say. So when the bed's made, I put the pillows over here, but sleeping actually have my head up at the door. I do have a lot of power. I have an all-electric van, so my water heater, all of my cooking, everything is on electric. And so I have 400 watts of solar on the roof and 500 amp hours of lithium in my bank. And that actually runs everything really well. So this is for my inverter. This is weird because it's going to show mirror. This is it's upside down and backwards right now, and it was working. So this is my panel for my batteries to show me how much battery I have left. This is actually just off of Amazon, just a little thermostat that shows the lowest and the highest for the day and the current.
Love that.
Yeah, that one's actually really great, especially if you have pets.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And then this is my Aspar heater controller. I made this screen for the van, and I used fabric for the bottom just so that you can't see the garage. So that anybody walking by can't see the toys I have in here. So my 40-gallon water is here. I do have an outdoor shower right here. This is my water fill, just super basic, really simple. And I have the 4-gallon water heater back in there. And then this section, so water on that side, electricity on this side. So all the electricity stuff is here. And then I have a folding e-bike by Doheny, which I love. It's super cute, it works really well, it's a very fun bike. And then just thrown in Go Treads and